Okay, so welcome. Our topic today is student parents, tailored to students who have kids or students who, you know, have partners that they are coming to do life with, essentially as a student. And this session is really born out of the fact that we do have student parents and we want to make sure that they are able to manage graduate school while also parenting their kids. And um, Maya, if you're free, if you would like to like tell us where you're joining from, or if you'd like to like share anything about what graduate school would look like for you, then we'll be glad to hear you speak or say something.
Okay. Well, I'm joining from the Seattle area. Um, I'm I saw this webinar and I found it interesting. I'm married, don't have kids at the moment, but I don't know when I'd be starting grad school, and it might be adjacent to starting a family. And in general, balancing like life and work and everything with grad school sounds like something that I'd love to hear more about. So,
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you for speaking up as well. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and start. My name is Ify. I function as the MSW recruitment specialist here at the School of Social Work. I work alongside the director and the assistant director. We have a BASW recruiter. We all work together to recruit and admit students to the Masters in Social Work. And I have Janae here with me. And Janae, would you like to introduce yourself to me?
Yes, of course. Hi, my name is Janae Carpio, and I use she, her pronouns. I am a product of the school, so I did my MSW at the UW, and I graduated during the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. And I did the admin and policy practice. Also, just to put it out there, to the kids was not, kids who was not part of the plan in grad school, but I did end up having twins 6 months before I graduated from the program. So right, you know, before the pandemic. So yeah, if you have questions later on, I'm happy to address them, but um, been there.
Yeah, I also forgot to share that I was pregnant in grad school and I had my baby in grad school. So I think really that's where my passion to help people or just to help students, parents navigate resources because it was very challenging for me to navigate resources. So yeah, it was definitely a very difficult but very fulfilling moment. Like when I look back, I'm like, oh, my grad school baby is now 3 years old. Okay, so exciting. So our agenda today is really very simple. We The plan was to share the center-wide UW resources, then share the School of Social Work resources, and talk about how you can build community both at UW and in the community at large. And so for UW resources, the first thing here is that we have a childcare assistance program. Um, Typically, the assistant program is tailored to assist students that have kids that are aged 0 to 12 years old while enrolled in an eligible program of study. So I was also a beneficiary of this program when I was a student. In fact, that was how I was able to cover most of my childcare costs. They give up to 4,500 for two children if they're between like 0 to 4 years every quarter, but you have to be fully enrolled. The university also has childcare centers, though the wait list might be very long, so people tend to get in early, but it's it's a really huge lifesaver to have that childcare assistance covered, it really helps to alleviate so much for the parents, especially when you have more than one child. Then the second thing here is the Live Well. The Live Well is more really like a community where there's also the counseling center. So this counseling center is a UW-wide program, but you will also see later on that different schools have their own mental health person or specialist. But the counseling center offers like confidential counseling. They offer workshop for student parents and other students as well, not just student parents. And you can always do that for free. They also have like emergency line where you don't have to book ahead. You just talk to somebody like a drop-in or like you can chat. I've forgotten what the chat is called actually, but you can easily chat with the mental health therapist online if you need instant help, which I have also used in the past. But I've used both the drop-in and the the online one because for the drop-in departments have theirs. So I was able to utilize one from my department when I was a graduate student. Then the third one here is the food pantry. Um, the UW has a food pantry at the Popular Hall 210, and you can either register and come online and come in person to jump the queue, or you just come and register when you get there. That means if there's a wait line when you come, you just have to like join the wait line. But people can shop, 2 to 3 days worth of food, and all you need to do is to bring your Husky card and your own bag. And it's really a good place. I remember like when I started going there, I still had like my newborn. I used to also get diaper and fruits from them. Then there's a short-term loan. The Office of Financial Student Office has like an assistance, temporal cash flow service where they give to students. And I think you can actually request for up to 3,000 in short loan, and the fund is typically available immediately. So if you have direct deposits, you can get it within 1, 2 days. But if you want that money to come in check, it probably would take more than 1 day. But it's funny because I've also benefited from this. So everything I'm sharing is something that I have actually benefited from. It was super helpful when during emergency cases, and they give great amounts for temporal cash flow problems. And they only add $30 for the interest, which is relatively good. Then there's the emergency aid, which I have also used, but the caveat to this one is that you cannot request more than one time in the quarter. And it's really very simple form. They have a form for student parents separately, and they have the one for students. So all you need to do if you were a student parent, you just fill out the form, talk about what the problem is, and tell them how much you would like to request. They typically will come back and tell you, oh, let's say you ask for 1,000, they can say, oh, we don't have 1,000, but we approved 400 or 600 for you. I've used it twice, and all the time that I requested, I got, but I did not use it more than one time in the quarter. So it's really, and it's not like a payback loan. It's free money that helps you to, if you have like some challenge that you need to quickly solve, that can help. And then I added the housing for parents, but there were two houses majorly that students had where people who had kids could come with their kids, live with their kids. It's called the Blakely and the Laurel Village, but unfortunately the houses are going to be brought down this year and renovated to uprising apartments. So right now the only available apartment for UW students with kids is the Radford Court. But there are also other affiliated housing that UW students can rent. There's the Stephen Court, the Commodore Duchess, and I think that there's one more that is not here. So you can rent those ones, and Most of them don't accept family with kids, but the Radford Court definitely accepts. If you were living in the Laurel and Blakely and transferring as a student, the Radford Court will typically give you a discount. But because I think for those that are coming in this year, going forward, you'd have to negotiate the pricing with them. The pricing is typically a little bit higher than what the other family housing would have taken, but it covers the house is recently built and it covers all utilities, so you don't have to pay utilities. They also have like dryer and laundry and stuff inside. And easy commute is about 10-12 minutes to the university campus. Okay, I will pass it off to Jen today.
Yeah. So Um, thanks, AP. Those were resources up in the UW level, and usually sometimes it can get intimidating to ask and look for resources because the university is so big. And it all, it seems impossible sometimes to look and find help. And so in our school, in the School of Social Work, we also have dedicated services for students in general, acknowledging that we do have a very diverse, range of students, including student parents, parents who are students now that also have not been in a school for such a long time. And so we have some resources as well that's, typically very easy, to reach, literally like one email away, dedicated to our students. And so, first is we have our MSW academic advising team. And these are, this is a team of advisors who are dedicated to like the program for students with a myriad of concerns. So if typically some students would have issues with attendance, for example, and we wouldn't know that it's because, for example, they have to pick up or drop off a kid and it conflicts with their class. So things like that. And so we always try to work with students with their needs and try to find like a best solution. But that does require students to come to us. Otherwise, we would not know that there is a need for those things. But that's what academic advisors are for. You know, um, we make sure that we're with you from the start of the program all the way till you graduate. And it's a simple, it's, emailing and connecting with an advisor is as easy as just sending an email to a main account, and three people, including myself, staff this email. So you usually would have a response, less than 72 business hours. We also have a mental health specialist, and we're one of, the first, schools who have a dedicated mental health specialist. Um, and our mental health specialist is dedicated to serving our students. And we offer confidential wellness focused support. And they use a Let's Talk model, where there's certain hours where you can just drop in, similar to the Live Well chat line, and just have a conversation with the mental health specialist. They also offer counseling sessions and workshops, and so there's definitely opportunities to connect in person or via webinar. And again, very easy to contact them. There's also a dedicated email to reach them. Um, the student pantry is literally the same as the food pantry, but this is very new. We started this back in May of 2025, where the advisors, basically, this is kind of like our signature first time having a team project, where we started soliciting for donations from the SSW community to collect non-perishable items, as well as so pantry items like feminine products, anything basically that you can use for you or your family. And we have these items stored at our student lounge. And so it's, dedicated to students in the School of Social Work. We have a couple of other resources that are more geared towards academics, with juggling life as a parent, as a student. Sometimes, well, not sometimes, but most of the time, we often have to prioritize our kids and other, um, you know, non-academic life. And so these are supports that can help academically with, like, writing papers, and so we have the writing center, and we always have three writing tutors, and they provide support in navigating assignment prompts, from brainstorming to dissecting what the questions are, um, reviewing the flow and concision of, like, the topics, practice paraphrasing, structuring papers, using online resources, even supporting and helping with APA format, because you'll be using a lot of those when you go into your research papers. So they're just there to support with that, less stress. Sometimes we think, oh, I'm never going to need that. But then, there's a lot of priorities other than academics, especially as a parent, that's one less thing that you can do. That you don't have to work too hard on, is having that support of a writing center and a writing tutor that can help you. And so um, we have that as well. And then lastly, we also have a dedicated health sciences librarian. So our, with UW being a research institution, we do have research papers, a lot of them. And so, we have someone who can help students just navigate around library collections, services, what our department specific resources are, and so there is a lot of different resources that can help in different ways, not directly with, like, child care, for example, or anything like that, but at least, like, the little other things that you need to get your academics taken care of, and also wellness focused things. We do have a good amount of resource for that. And next slide. Thank you. And so building community, there are a lot of, UW level resources as well. So there is a listserv for student parents. And this is also a listserv that includes staff and faculty. And so if there are, like, opportunities, free events for kids or family friendly events, this listserv will, they'll send this to all of the folks in the listserv. And so it's a great resource, just for communication, knowing where to find, like, things to do with the family, things like that. And then we also have a student parent caregiver advocacy group. And this is an official UW RSO student led group. It's not housed within the social work. This is housed in the UW level, but again, it's another way to build community, share resources, and advocating for the needs of student parents and caregivers. So it is a mailing list serve that you can sign up, but it's also a group that you can be a part of. There are many other community resources, and usually a lot of these partner with, like, staff and faculty, because these are, like, the typical kind of, like, populations that have kids or have families. And so a lot of the community resources involve, like, a collaboration with staff, faculty, and students. And in our school, I am very surprised that no one has started a student parent student group. So I'm actually, like, wanting to encourage, like, if I meet students this quarter that are parents or are, thinking about starting a family, to start a group, like, because there's just a lot, like, as social workers, we have different timelines on when we want to get our MSW. And so, you get into a cohort, some students are just, like, fresh out of, like, their bachelor's degree, but some are already parents, some have not been in school for 10, 20 years. And so definitely there's a big, range there that I think it would benefit students to have a group that they can all um, collaborate on and share, and also have that experience to share with other students who don't have families yet, or just for awareness, and also opportunities um, to just experience or have that experience of being a student and a parent at the same time in a graduate level program. Next.
Okay. Can I take this?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. Great. I wasn't sure if you were stuck because it was glitching.
Evie?
Um, so this is just like a small tips on how to prevent burnout and self-care. Even though, yes, it's still up to parents, but it typically still a good advice for everybody. So the first one here is managing your time and energy. Um, this is something that I struggled with, like when I first started graduate school, because I'm typically somebody who wants to do everything and I want to volunteer and help out. And I just realized that things were falling off the crack. I was struggling with keeping timeline, like all my assignments were late, 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 late. I was glad that I had that like two or one. My department had like a 2-day submission period where you can submit, and I just like found myself, submitting within those time frame. But I think like over time it got better because I was able to like figure out how to create good routine. I mean not 100%, but like I figured out like how to structure myself in terms of putting on my to do on my Outlook and have that reminder, block of time for from family. I have 2 kids, so sometimes I have to, what I did like weekends, I just batch cook so that I don't have to cook during the week and just like plan my life and just figuring out like I think at some point I figured that okay, I cannot get everything done, but what can I do with the time that I have and not just keep going and going to like get burnt out. So that really helps to preserve my energy. Then the other one is, academic strategies. The biggest one here really for me is the productivity tool, which was super helpful, especially for people that have kids. Um, having, you know, kids timeline, I got to a point where I had to print out all my kids timeline and I put them on the fridge so that I can visually see them so that I don't have to keep thinking, oh, what do they have on Monday? Or what game do they have on Thursday night? So just making sure that I have those things. I set up all the appointments on my calendar, dental, whatever. Everything goes to my calendar. I have the same calendar, but I color code it, different color for two of my kids. And once I see purple, I know, okay, this is for my son. Or once I see pink, I know it's for my daughter. So and I can like plan what's gonna happen even like in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks. So that kind of helped me like, not commit to things I'm not able to do and just say, oh, okay, I'm not able to commit to this because I have this. Or like even helped me to figure out, oh, I don't think I can meet up. Let me reschedule on time. Because there are places that you may not be able to reschedule less than 24 hours, you know. Then really leveraging on the resources that we had shared. And I think part of it really is the fear of communicating that you may not be able to meet up to professors. I struggled a lot with this when I was writing my thesis because thesis was a lot of independent work. And every 2 weeks, I was supposed to meet with my advisors. And I found myself not having anything to present to them every 2 weeks. And instead of me, like I had the fear to reach out was the problem. Like I kept holding back, and then, you know, deadline, I'll just panic and just say something came up, I'm not able to meet, out of. So I think like one of my advisors was like, "Oh, that's very disappointing." So when she told me that, I just really explained everything, and then I told myself, okay, if there's going to be a problem, I have to foresee it at least 1 week and communicate it. Typically, most of them also have kids, like they understand, but the problem is like if you're not able to communicate, nobody knows what you're dealing with, like unless you speak out. So I think people, mostly parents, need to like figure out communication on time and try as much as possible to communicate early to the professors. Then the self-care part is really claiming small moments for joyful experiences. There's never going to be like a full block of time where as a student you have like 1 week to relax, unless maybe during summers. But like if you have kids, summer is also full of activities. So there's never really a time for you unless you actually like stubbornly block out those times. So part of mine is like blocking out my mornings. Like now it's really non-negotiable. Like even if I have to remove Outlook, like shut down my phone and take at least 30 minutes of running or talking or doing whatever, fuels my day, just taking a little walk really helps. And just that moment that you have for yourself really goes a long way to even, making you productive at work or productive in in school or like in how you show up for yourself and for others. And I think I also mentioned like scheduling small pleasures. Like my small pleasure look like just going to get ice cream. Or like every time that I get paid, I purposely just take myself to a restaurant, sit down and eat something. Like even if my account is screaming no money, I just do it. And then when I finish eating the meat, I'm like, okay, now I have eaten. I can now think of paying other people that I'm owing or whatever. But at least I enjoyed my money that I worked hard for, or the money. Of course, even as a student, like if you have student job, you're also working hard as well. Like find those small, it could be walking in the park or like, just things that you're doing by yourself that fulfills you, that gives you joy. And this is the last one is really, really super helpful because I did not think that mental health was a big deal until I came to the US. Um, Finding a safe space to express overwhelm without judgment. I think when I started like going to a therapist, I found life better. Like just being able to express so many things that you're feeling. Because sometimes, we go through life really fast and we hold on too much. Sometimes you don't even know that you're holding off those things until you actually start saying them and you can find yourself breaking out. So like having that consistent place that you can periodically check in with. It could be a therapist, it could be like a community or somebody in your community that shares the same value. It could be your inner circle of pe friends that have the same kids or the same age with you that you can check in with to, share life with. That is not just your spouse, you know. Yeah, I think that really for me went a long way, or just a day at the spa, or just a day to paint your nails, or just talking to somebody that really, really it's very helpful, especially for parents that are juggling a lot in grad school. And one of the things like that helped me a lot was because I stayed in at the student housing, it meant that most of the people, in fact, everybody there, one of the spouse or one of the partner would be a student. So we were like a community. So we kind of, and because we were all in the same community, our kids were going to the same school. So we um what's it called now? Like we carpooled together. So we just shared like, oh, Monday you take the kids, Tuesday you bring back. So it kind of relieved me a lot. Like maybe in 1 week, my job was to just bring back kids. So in the morning, I didn't have to worry about taking the kids to school. Or like somebody would go to we also like for instance for events that like games or swimming or math lessons that's we all do together. We try to fix the time together so that then we share who takes and who brings back. So that kind of helped to free out time for you, makes life a little bit easy to do with the community. So yeah, this part of any other idea was supposed to be if we had a large crowd, but since we don't have a large crowd, I can just skip that part. Okay. Yeah, and this is a podcast recommendation. It's funny, like when I searched for parenting in grad school, this is not really an area that is quite resourced. There are very few resources that help parents who are in grad school, but this is a very good recommendation that Janae shared. And for those who are aspiring to be parents in grad school or are already parents in grad school, this would be a good podcast to listen to. So I will stop here and see if we have questions, or else we'll call it a day. Okay. Stop my video. Okay, maybe I will also stop sharing. Let's see.
Yeah, and thank you, Maya. I really, we really appreciate that you stuck with us. I'll be like, there's no way to leave.
Yeah.
So, thank you.